What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. In today's review, we're going to be talking about the 1987 Predator. No, not Predators and not The Predator. Just Predator. The one that started the franchise. They really have to work on these names. So Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers. I remember watching this movie a bunch of times growing up as a kid. I hadn't seen it in years, and I just got the Blu-ray Steelbook this Christmas and popped it in just a few days ago. My girlfriend had never seen it before. She actually came with me to see The Predator, which I also did a review for on this channel. And I pretty much explained to her that all the Predator films don't really have any connections in the way that a lot of other sequels do. They may make small references or stuff like that. There's a few references made to previous films in The Predator, the one that she saw, but there's really no connection to this one specifically. So jumping back into this movie, I really enjoyed it. It's a really good movie. I mean, the movie is really well shot for the time. I really love the cinematography of this film. I've always been really into it, and I've always loved just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger on screen, even if his acting is a little wooden at times, but I really enjoy his portrayal in this film. He plays a badass, and I enjoy the badass portrayal he brings to the role. On top of that, I really enjoy Carl Weathers in this film, who I also mentioned, and yeah, I've always just enjoyed both of them in this film a lot, especially that sweet handshake at the beginning of the movie that it's just so macho.
You son of a bitch.
And macho is the #1 thing that I have to say is kind of maybe a negative that I have of the film. You know, it's a movie of its time, you know, dialogue and everything, but a lot about it is just a solid, great film about these mercenaries being sent on this mission. There's more to the mission than they know, and they're being stalked by the Predator. You know, there's some great scenes with that, and obviously once people start getting killed and things start getting really crazy, a lot of the action is really awesome in this film. The reason I mentioned that the macho element, the machismo in this film kind of ruins it for me is going back and watching it. It's just almost so overly macho that it's cheesy. It's just, and it's kind of its thing. You can kind of have a laugh at it for that sense of kind of just it's so overly macho, and it's just I'm gonna say every line in the most macho way possible. And that's really what this movie is in so many ways. So it kind of felt to me dated in that sense. There were just so many elements that just felt really that's the route that you chose to take with that character and certain writing elements of the film. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy the characters and the kind of macho nature that they have in this film. I don't know, I guess maybe because I grew up with the film and I remember seeing it so many times and what it kind of did for film history, especially in creating The Predator, who is an icon of sci-fi horror and it just all together. Yeah, I really enjoy this film on an overall basis, and I enjoy the characters for what they are, but a lot of them are stereotypes or just so overly macho that it just comes off cheesy in this day and age. Now, as far as my main positives I can give this film, like I mentioned, I really like the cinematography in this film. I enjoy the performances for the most part, specifically from Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger has a few wooden sequences or scenes where it just doesn't feel like he's at the top notch of his acting. But outside of that, I really enjoy the action in this film, and I think that that's the biggest praise I can give this film, is both the action and the practical effects. All the action when people are getting gunned down and things are being blown up, it's all really happening on screen, and I've just always loved to be able to see movies with that kind of practical effects nature. With that said, a lot of the action in this film is incredibly just overblown. There's just some action sequences that are just so over the top, so there's literally a scene where one of the characters sees the Predator for the first time and he just starts unloading into the trees, and then all the other guys come out because they just see him shooting and just start unloading into the trees with him, and it's just literally a solid almost a minute worth of screen time of just these guys just unloading bullets and grenade launchers and rocket launchers into these trees, just blowing everything to bits. They have not seen the Predator at all. They're just shooting to shoot. And it's stuff like that in this movie that's just so over the top that you can't help but laugh in this day and age. So like I mentioned before, the practical effects in this film are really great, and specifically on the Predator. I think that is hands down why the Predator as a character and as an icon has become so popular, because they just nailed it in this film. There's a few moments where his hands look a little rubbery, looks like he's wearing gloves, but for the most part, the Predator looks awesome in this movie. Specifically when he takes his helmet off and you finally get to see his face, and the different parts of his mouth are moving. I mean, they did such an amazing job of making it feel and look like a real alien, making it look like it was really there on screen. And I always really enjoyed the tone and the atmosphere that the movie has, where it just does have this creepy, like you're being stalked kind of film. And with the Predator being as realistic as he is, it really sells it 110%. So that's my biggest praise I can give this film are the effects, the action, and the cinematography, and the overall just tone of the film itself. Now, as for negatives, right out of the gate, like I mentioned, just that macho element of the film just really takes away from certain elements of the film for me. It's just very cheesy in that sense, and I couldn't really buy into a lot of the dialogue anymore. There are multiple scenes in this film where certain characters say stuff or do things, and it's just so over the top and macho, and it just kind of takes away from it for me. It's hard not to laugh at it, you know what I mean, when it's trying to be so serious and grounded, while also being self-aware to an extent, but it is trying to be a very serious action, like just macho film, and sometimes it just went over the top on the macho element, especially watching it today in 2018. It just feels definitely dated in that sense. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be the end of my review. Thank you so much for watching another video. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button and comment your thoughts on Predator. You know, when did you watch it for the first time? Did you grow up with it like I did? And what's your favorite Predator film? Let me know down below. I really don't know which mine would be. I've always really enjoyed Predators that came out, I don't know, I can't remember what year it came out. It came out with Adrian Brody. Really great movie. I really enjoyed the premise of that film. It's not a perfect movie, but I think that's my favorite Predator film. I like all of them for what they have. The latest one, The Predator, was probably my least favorite one. I even enjoyed the Alien vs. Predator, maybe the first one, just the first one, because the second one's not so great. I really don't have too much more to say about this movie. You know, I can see why it's a classic still to this day. It made the Predator alien an icon. You got great performances by Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, and some amazing action and practical effects. So I highly recommend going and checking it out if you've never seen it. Definitely get some movie history in your blood. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!